What's up, YouTube? I'm back on the video, and in today's video we're going to be exposed to the movie Leprechaun that came out back in '93. And before we go into that, I want to drop something on you real quick. This is a book called Knowledge of Self, a collection of wisdom on the science of everything in life by Dr. Supreme Understanding. Now, before we go into the Leprechaun movie, let's go into a couple things real quick to set the stage. So this is on page 113. So then, who was the devil? Now, I talked about who the devil is and things like that already before. You should already know this by now. I just want to read a couple of things to you. Okay. Let's go here to page 117. I just want to drop a couple of gems on you real quick. So it says on page 117, it says, so let's look at the modern era. Conspiracy theories abound on every topic from 9/11 to 2012 to 666. However, unless these fragmented theories are seen through the unified lens of the global conspiracy for white supremacy, they are all simply confusing and disconnected. In fact, with the white pundits who rant and rave about 9/11 and quote constitutional freedoms love to ignore is that the New World Order and Illuminati are about white power more than anything else. When Bush and the rest of the Skull and Bones crew are engaging in what appears to be satanic rituals, please don't think that the most elite whites on this earth are dumb enough to be so religious and primitive. They are hailing themselves and their direct quote descent from Jacob, who is the same as Moloch, held in the Skull and Bones cremation of care ceremony. Look up the video online. Who are they cremating? You, black man. These people know who God is. They know the original man is God. They are informed enough to be aware of the obvious. It is only original people who are too blind to know it. Did you know that when Masons attain their 32nd and 33 degrees, they are introduced to the worship of the true God, Allah? Ask any old Shriner why they wear a Muslim fez with a sword at top. Of course, he won't tell you. So what he's talking about here is you have Muslim Shriners fez hat, okay? So you see this hat right here. He's talking about this hat right here, this Muslim Shriner fez hat, okay? Let's see where is that. All right, you see stuff like this, okay? All right, you see stuff like this, okay? So, I've already shown you that this is talking about black folks. See, they wear these signs and symbols in secret. And you take on the connotation that when you see this stuff, it represents evil. You know what I'm saying? Or something that's bad. It's not the signs. See, what's throwing people off is, I can put this hat on, and you will automatically assume that I'm a bad person. But it's not the hat that's evil. It's not the signs and symbols that's evil. This is stitched. This is handmade, stitched. Okay? It's the people. that's conducting the evilness. Okay? The hat is not evil. It's the person wearing the hat that's conducting the evilness. I hope you all understand this. Now we're going to get into, in my next lesson, who gets to say what's good and what's evil. Because he talks about that in this book. Now, but let's keep on going. So, now we want to go here to, we want to keep on going. All right, and this is on page 119, and it says the bill, the white man is the devil. Now I talked about this before. Now, it says here on page 121, it says, he says as let's see here, as Malik, it says Malik, a guy named Malik and a guy named Scientific are having a conversation, right? So it says that what is the wisdom degree in the student enrollment? Who is the colored man? Answer: the colored man is the Caucasian, white man, or Jacob's grafted devil of the planet Earth, he replied. Malik then answered Scientific, why is he referred to as the colored man? Quote, color is past tense, meaning that something was once something else but has been changed from its original state. In this case, the white man was once a man of dark color, but due to him being grafted, he was changed to the color of white. If you recall, during the Jim Crow era, white folks referred to us as colored people, not because we were people of color, as many people believe, but because they were telling the world that they were the original people, and that black people came from them after being cursed by God, burnt by the sun, and turned black. They referred to us as, quote, colored, to indicate to the world that we were changed from our original color of white. All they had done was reverse the historical truth about themselves. In her book, The ISIS Paper, The Keys to the Colors, I did a video on this, I used her book, Dr. Franz Kress Welsing quoted a 19th century German philosopher named Arthur Schopenhauer. It says, Mr. Schopenhauer made the following statement about white skin and the philosophy of Schopenhauer, Metaphysics of Love and Sexes. Quote, it says, the white color of skin is not natural to man, but that by nature he has a black or brown skin, like our forefathers, the Hainus, that consequently a white man has never originally sprung from the womb of nature, and that thus there is no such thing as a white race, as much as this is talked of, but every white man is a faded or bleached one. Now, this is a white man saying this. I'm not coming on here being racist. I'm quoting what white folks are saying. Okay? Now, let's keep on going. He quotes from Lawrence Guthrie books, Paul Lawrence Guthrie book, Making of the White Man. You know what I'm saying? So, as you can see, when I put these videos out here, majority of the information that I look up, these people have already looked into it already. So this information is nothing new. It might be it's probably foreign to us. We don't pick up books and read them, so they sound new to us. But it's nothing new. It's just a copy of something else. Okay, now let's keep on going. You have here on page 127. You have here, all throughout the religious scriptures speaks about the battle of God and the devil, or God and evil. In Muhammad Allah's translation of the Holy Quran, Surah 20, 102, it states that, quote, the day when the trumpet is blown, and we shall gather the guilty blue-eyed on that day. This scripture clearly describes the white race, for they are the ones who have blue eyes. Footnote 1501A is the footnote where Muhammad Ali explains Surah 20, 102. It says, quote, the word Zurich means blue-eyed. According to BD, Blue being the color of the eyes of rum, i.e. the Greeks or the Romans, who were the most hated by the Arabs. That color was regarded by the Arabs as the worst color for the eye. Let's keep on going. We have here on page 128, it says, there's a white woman in particular named Dr. Dorothy Fardin, who wrote a book called Message to the White Man and Woman in America, Jacob and the Origin of White Supremacy. In it, she bears witness that her people are grafted devils. This is her saying this. She says, quote, if we follow the teachings of Elijah Muhammad on making of the white man, we understand that the nature of the white man has been grafted out of the original. It is therefore an aberrant genetic construct and thus lies at the base of the errant and malicious way of white rule. Therefore, on this most fundamental level, the salvation of white people lie in grafting back to the originality, the righteous nature of the original black people. You see that? Now, let me see if I can find this section we talked about here about good and evil. And then we're going to go into this leprechaun. And then next month, I have a lesson coming out. Cause we know that next month is so-called Black History Month, but we need to boycott that. We don't just have 1 month out of the year, so-called Black History Month. We predate that. Okay. Okay, so like here, I'm going to the what's name, to the Leprechaun. So like here, it says the God of Scripture, the God of all religious tradition has been a black man. The authors of the Scriptures have recorded numerous instances where God is described as either a man, as black, or a group of men. These are the verses, right? Or the nature of man himself. One of the words used for God in the Old Testament is, we know this, Elohim, which means gods, with the plural. In Hebrew, actually Elohim is plural of Eloah, Elo, a popular name for the God of the Old Testament. El from Elo is merely a botched transliteration from the original Hebrew name. The vowel points were added later, changing the letter A or Aleph to the E, and thus turning Al or Allah into El. This was the work of the Jewish Masoretic scribes, who were given the task of rewriting and editing the Pentateuch by hand around the 6th century AD. This can be found in several texts on the history of the Bible. And the god El, by whatever name you call him, was definitely first regarded as a man, pictured in the gold statue above. The word Elohim or Elohim is also used to refer to a group of men who were regarded as the leaders of the Hebrew people, the judges. The other popular term for God in the Old Testament is YHWH. YHWH is not meant to be pronounced as Jehovah. YHWH, when written in Hebrew from top to bottom, represents the form of a man. This is why the Tetragrammaton YHWH was referred to as the infallible name, which means it cannot be said. Even today, Orthodox Jews refuse to utter this name. It is because these letters do not represent a phonetic word, but pictorially represents the reality of a man, as in a hieroglyphic. So what man is this? What man is this? The black man. You see that? Similarly, the name Allah, which has made it from its origins among the black Arabs of Mecca to the pre-Columbian blacks of America and the first black slaves and finally to the mainstreams of blacks in America, is the best name understood in the present context of arm, leg, leg, arm, head. The name Allah was also used as the word for, quote, man amongst the black people of the ancient Harappan civilization in India. Okay? Now, let's go here. So I can find this part real quick. If not, I'm about to continue on. Can't continue on. Okay. This is all going back. This is all going back to the black people, black man and woman. Okay. So let's go here to let's see here. See, let me go here to let's go here to this leprechaun. Okay, so like here, now we have here, so we know about Snow White. So we have here the movie, we have Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, right? Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs, right? You have this, right? And then you have the Seven Dwarfs. You got them at all white people, all right? So we're gonna break this down, bust this myth down, right? So it says here that the Seven Dwarfs were black, according to Halliburton. This is coming from the book right here. If you want to know what I'm reading from, The Black God, okay? So it says, according to Halliburton, these little black people were even the source material for the fairy tale of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. In fact, he says the Seven Dwarfs did not simply represent a group of diminutive black people, but a pantheon of the seven oldest gods. The father of the gods, the oldest of all, Vulcan or Ptah, the eighth of the earliest system of Egyptian deities, was represented as a dwarf or pygmy or twa. Classical mythology has made Vulcan lame and deformed, while his workmen, the seven Cyclopses, the seven Cyclopes, were supposed to represent the earliest races of man, those progenitors of mankind whom the Hindus worship as Pitris, ancestor gods. If he, the greatest, was a dwarf, the other seven must also have been dwarves. What a beginning for the gods of antiquity. Seven dwarf masons with their pygmy master mason. Well may the Horatian boast, as their ancestors, the old Atlantis, did, that they are the oldest people in the world and that all other nations got their gods from them. Halliburton says this original pantheon of seven black gods was to be found in Egypt, Palestine, Syria, Phoenicia, India, Rome, and later all throughout Europe. Okay? Now, let's go here to, one second. Let's go here to, let's see here. So we know that Snow White and Seven Dwarfs was based on the black pygmies, the Twa. Okay? We're going to go here. Let's go here to the movie called Leprechaun. Okay, so you have the movie here called Leprechaun that came out in 1993, right? And here's the poster trailer for this movie. Okay? So the actor, so who's playing this Leprechaun, right? So there's a man named Warwick Davis. And he's playing the Leprechaun. Now look what color the Leprechaun is. So, in the movie Leprechaun, they have the Leprechaun as playing a pygmy. And look what color this man is playing. He has brown skin, or so-called black person. And he has on a green suit. Now, who is playing this Leprechaun? Well, if we go here, why can they cast a black person to play Leprechaun? Well, when we go into the information, we're going to see why. So, this man named Warwick Davis is playing, this little man played Leprechaun. And he is so-called a little man, a little person. He would be considered a little person. Okay? Why couldn't they cast a black person to play the Leprechaun? Let's go into information. A theory from McRitchie's testimony of tradition. Leprechauns, trolls, gnomes, and elves. Okay, I want you to see this, right? What do these little people represent? According to historians like Macy and McRitchie, these little beings were originally based on little black people. Not black people again, yes, black people. That is, the different traditions of leprechauns, trolls, gnomes, elves, fairies, fiends, pixies, and others. We folk myths were originally based on the indigenous people of Europe. Some were tall like the giants described above, but many resembled the short-statued black people known throughout the world as pygmies and negritos, or negroes. So he is playing Leprechaun, a little negro. Right? This is supposed to be a black person. But let's keep on going. It says these black people were typically descendants of the first African population to settle the world. For a variety of reasons we explore and When the World Was Black, Part 1, they looked just like taller black population, but thousands of years of isolation had made them much smaller than their more recent neighbors. As we explained elsewhere in that book, these DBP, or diminutive black people, were either feared or highly revered wherever they were encountered. Some were believed to have magic powers, and their semi-divine status soon gave way to an almost entirely legendary status. By the time the diminutive were rarely seen in those areas, they become the subject of myth and embellishment, eventually giving way to the legends of fairies and other small magical beings. In several of David McRitchie's works, he traces such beings back to their black roots. So Leprechaun, in this movie called Leprechaun, these white folks came upon, if you've seen the movie, if you read the plot of the movie, they steal this gold. He wants his gold back. To me, this seems like, okay, so if these white folks is coming upon this leprechaun, this black person, and they're stealing his gold, they're pretty much in historical terms, they are stealing his land. That's what they're doing. You got to read between the lines. Read the plot. In 1983, Dan O'Grady returned to his home in North Dakota from a trip to his native Ireland, where he stole a pot of gold from a leprechaun. After burying the gold, O'Grady discovers that the evil leprechaun has followed him home and murdered his wife. So that's an eye for an eye, tooth for a tooth. He stole the leprechaun's gold, the black man's money or land, and in retaliation, he came back and he murdered the dude's wife. He said, you're not about to get away and steal my land and my money without some type of repercussions. I'm just paraphrasing. And what does a leprechaun have? He has magic powers. Let's keep on going. In Helen Gubert's myth of Northern Lands, we learned that they were called black dwarves or dark elves, not because of symbolism, but because of their swarthy complexion. Gerber continues, these small beings were so homely, with their dark skin, green eyes, large heads, short legs, and crow's feet, that they were told to hide underground and never show themselves during the daytime under penalty of being turned into stone. If you watch this movie, what happened at the end of the movie? What was he turned into? Was he burned by fire and all that shit? And was he turned into stone? Watch the goddamn movie. Okay? Let's keep on going. I got, 4 minutes left. Although less powerful than the gods, they were more intelligent than men, and as their knowledge was boundless and extended even to the future gods, and men were equally anxious to question them. Let's keep on going. Okay, so you have stories that's even in China, when they have stories of a Twa or a pygmy called Muley or Muley. Such embellished stories like the tales of Muley in China were based on the diminutive black people's very real desire to avoid the new populations who threatened their existence. So this is what your Leprechaun was all about, and then the Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. These are all this stuff is based on black people. Okay? This is what this is talking about. All right? So, I'm running out of time. And with that being said, I'm not going to keep you long. This video was only 30 minutes. Like with the show, Jack and the Beanstalk, you have black giants. Jack and the Beanstalk wasn't a true story, was it? Probably not. Earlier European myths of giants were based on men who were large and threatening, but not superhuman. The first man to be described as giants were black men who came from overseas. In ancient and modern Britain, McRitchie talks about these people and how they came to be described as giants. Such leaders, quote, such leaders black of skin, savage in nature, and yet possess of the evidence of a certain civilization having jewels, gold ornaments, chests of gold, of ivory, or of bone, are confusedly remembered in the popular tradition of Wales and of Western Highlands, and probably of other portions of the United Kingdom. So this is based on black people. Based on black people. Okay? This is what this is. Now, what I want to do is, I'm going to end my video right here. And this is a book called Knowledge of Self, Collects of Wisdom. And then this is the book that I'm currently reading right now. I'm halfway finished with it. The Science of Self, Man, God, and the Mathematical Language of Nature, Volume 1. Okay, this is a deep book. All right, so I'm halfway finished with this. And in a couple of weeks or so, I'm gonna do that video on Black History Month. Okay, so with that being said, peace, and I'll see you in the next one. Thanks for listening and watching. Click subscribe to my channel.